how much is fintech influencing millennials? Do I have to be digitally cool? Do I need to have that cool app? Because I still have this theory that someday Apple Pay is going to get big enough, and then they're just going to have an Apple Bank and my my i401k or 401I or something like that. And why move my money around, regardless of strong quality APIs? So what's the millennial influence on financial services these days, and how is fintech tapping into that?
It's better for you to ask somebody who's about 30 years younger than I am that question.
But we can look at it objectively as seasoned professionals, Lee.
So I have two daughters who are sort of just entering the quasi-millennial world. The world that they grow up in is very different from the world that I grew up in, right? They've been exposed to iPhones and iPads since they were young. I have to figure this stuff out in a way that it just takes me longer than it takes them to figure stuff out. Daddy, how come you can't do that yet? So I'm not as smart as you, okay? What do you want me to say? Right, but they're learning an approach to life. Let me give you another completely different example. When I go visit various fintech clients and do training sessions for them on regulatory issues or whatever, everybody around the table at the fintech client opens up their laptop and takes notes on their laptop. That is par for the course now. I don't even take handwritten notes, okay? But it's just a way of interacting with technology that is foreign to guys like us.
Well, I'm sure you remember going into a conference room and it was no Blackberries allowed,
Yeah,
posted
exactly.
outside.
Exactly.
I thought that was the name of the conference room, for crying out loud.
But look, they're just learning to interact with technology in ways that are very different. And by the way, my kids are 15 and 17. The kids who are now in elementary school are growing up in ways that are even completely different from the ways that my kids are growing up. And that's gonna so that cycle of generations is getting compacted to be a shorter time frame as technology drives things more quickly.
So we're going to be driving trading applications with emojis, or
why not? If that's the interface that people like, then somebody will create it. And the technology gives everybody the flexibility to customize in ways that, again, I change the wallpaper on my iPhone maybe once a year, maybe.
You're progressive.
Right? I mean, at least I can say that I took a photo of a flower and I figured out how to make that my wallpaper, right? Not everybody can say that who's my age. My kids, they change their wallpaper, every week.
So you've, in your role at Devil Voice and Plim Plim, you've seen a lot. What has, not naming names, but what has blown you away? I mean, you've seen a lot of technology come in. You've seen, talked to so many great people on your podcast. What's blown you away?
I think the thing that blows me away the most, and it's not one thing that I've seen. It's sort of a theme that I'm seeing, and that theme is what I will loosely call sort of behavioralism. Maybe I just coined a new term there, but what I really think is happening to a great extent in financial services is that the financial services providers are thinking about people's behavior and what can assist people to have better financial behaviors, better financial health. In that kind of thinking, they're making these technologies that are flexible so people can customize them in their own ways to suit their own needs. In thinking about behavior, they're thinking about how can we encourage certain things that we want to encourage people to do. How can we discourage people from doing other things that we want to discourage them to do? And I make that sound like it's this nefarious thing that's happening. I think for the most part it's not nefarious. But look, people who need help saving, then to have a technology that helps them save is a really positive development. People who have student loans that need to get paid down, having a technology that allows them to pay down their student loans in a way that is simple and straightforward is a really powerful thing to offer people. So when the company thinks about people's behavior and trying to get people to act in a certain way or react in a certain way to what's going on, that I think is the theme that I'm seeing the most, and it's the thing that blows me away.
So the chief data officer is dead, and the chief economist has a new role.
I think most economists didn't even think of themselves as behavioralists until what's the Tversky and Kahneman came along, and I think even the two of them didn't realize how big an impact they would have. I also expect that impact is just going to keep growing because the focus that people are bringing to that issue.
Well, Lee, I want to thank you so much for your time today and your perspectives on fintech. The podcast is Appetite for Disruption. The law firm is Debevoise in Plimpton. Lee Schneider, thank you so much. Please feel free to look for his podcast on iTunes. It comes out every other week, and he sits down with some really fascinating people across the space. And of course, we always want to talk about the topics that you want to talk about. Follow us on LinkedIn and on Twitter at NX Analytics. I'm Jim Jockle. Thanks for joining.